Hey everyone, welcome to Ask Miss Bell. This is going to be part one to this video. There will be a part two at the end. Had to cut the video short because the video was way too long for me to upload, especially being a new YouTube channel. But I hope you guys enjoy it, and let's get to the video. Thanks. Hi everyone, welcome to Ask Miss Bell. My name is Gina Bell, and I am a finance and transformational life coach. So I just started my channel, and I am looking forward to all of you joining my journey on creating my goals also in this year. So this is kind of going to be a challenge I am giving myself along with you guys watching me as I grow here on the YouTube world and community. So the last video I posted about me doing the 12-week challenge, and I love this idea that I had done it frequently before, but on a smaller scale. This time, this channel is part of my goals in the 12-week year. I'm not going to talk about that today, but this is part of the challenge, and it's me creating this content, creating these videos, and also just finally letting myself put myself out there in the YouTube world to be able to embrace this new journey I'm on in helping and assisting, and a passion I've had for a very long time in terms of finance, moderate ways to basically take care of your home in ways that are manageable for the everyday person. And on top of that, I am very good at transformation, life transformation. So my goal is to assist in that as well, and to have topics about that, hence the name Ask Miss Bell. You're going to be able to ask me questions. We could touch topics, anything that you're interested. But I had mentioned in my last video, there are three main things that are in my 12-week year, and one that was intermittent fasting that I had started, and it was really, a journey that I started for my skin. The second thing was the decluttering, and the third thing, my goodness, it's coming out of my mind at the moment. It'll come to me. Anyways, but really, I chose about 1 to 6 goals, and this one, I kind of put it on the bottom of the list, but it's actually going to be one of the most important ones. And I feel this is one of the things that is going to tie into what my channel is about, and why we suffer in other areas of our lives, and that has to do with spiritual peace. So the other thing I am going to be focusing on this coming year and practicing more of, right? Because it's one thing there are a lot of things we know, but we just don't put into practice. And anything or any life change is about things we put into practice. And that is what I'm doing here. This whole journey is going to force me to be consistent with it. I have put a lot of the spiritual piece into practice in prior years, and I'm really coming back to it now. So the reason I'm touching on spiritual peace and why I want to have this video specifically on this topic is because it's one of the things that when I needed to accomplish something in my life, or the biggest impacts or things that impacted me the most in my life, spiritual peace was the thing I always came to and came back home to. So, for example, when I lost my father back in 2016, I had to spend almost 2 years listening to sermons and motivational videos on YouTube to kind of get myself through that every day. And I had to do it first thing in the morning. So that's just one of the examples of things that I used, or tools that I used to be able to get me through things. But in the journey, I learned quite a few things on finding that, because not only did, my father's death I had like a spiral effect of grievance, and also if any of you have experienced what it's like to lose a parent, you could imagine how the grief reacts differently in all your siblings. So there was that happening and challenging all of my relationships with my siblings also, but only because you learn to realize everyone grieves differently and what they respond. Also, what you realize is losing a parent is an individual experience. So your relationship with your parent is not the same relationship your brother or sister had with their parent and the emotions they feel. So that was kind of one of the spiraling things I had to learn, in addition to like a lot of challenges with work that I was having during that time. Again, those who are new to my channel, I work for corporate. I have been an accountant for 20 plus years. And at the time, I was working for a publishing company, and it had a lot of challenges there in the sense of just the dynamics with the coworkers. That we'll get into another video, another day, and in terms of like how to navigate corporate. But back to the focus of the spiraling effect of life and the challenges that kind of challenge your peace, and you have to kind of come back to something to be able to remind you, like, what the hell am I doing all this for? What is my reason? And at that time, I was single, so I was going through a lot of all these things really by myself. And you also learn that grief is not something a lot of people connect with. So, you get a lot of those cliche answers. Oh, it was for the best, or, you know how it is. And it's fine. You understand that death is not a topic that most people can really talk about, even probably within your own parents, where your guys, hey, what are we going to do, if mom or dad dies or something like that, which honestly would probably be a topic for another video, because that impacts you financially, which is kind of the issue that was happening with my siblings, is the financial impact. We'll get into that on another video as well. But there are three things that I want to talk about finding spiritual peace. And spiritual peace is extremely, really important for anything. This is one of the things that you're going to have to conquer with anything you go through in life going forward. And in my opinion, this is what I use and the things I focus on, and what I find to be the top three things that you need to kind of always consider when navigating your spiritual peace. The first thing is emotional regulation. So you have to really figure out where your emotions are. And a lot of that is finding ways to regulate your own thoughts. Your thoughts are going to drive you in so many places and in so many directions when it comes to anything that you're going through in that very moment, that in that season, right? Because life is about seasons. So it could be about your job, it could be about your family, or something like I suffered death. It could be many things, because clearly that year was like a very impactful year for me, where I had many things, and that was just one, like a span of a year. I am not even tapping into other things I've had, challenges, that have challenged me spiritually. But emotional regulation is extremely key here. So tracking your thought patterns is very handy and useful. And obviously the cliche would be journaling. But sometimes if you're not a writer, the key is to really just sit with yourself and to find ways to figure out what you're feeling and allow yourself to feel those feelings. And what I did was, anytime I felt a certain feeling, if I needed to be angry, whether it's an hour, 2 hours, or a week, whatever the case may be, whatever the situation, I allowed myself to process those emotions, and to feel them. And if I had to cry, I had to cry. If I had to, and a lot of these things, guys, let me tell you, I had to do alone, which is the other thing we're going to talk about. But a lot of that, it is found in solitude. And the best answers always come in solitude. So I will say emotional regulation is one of the biggest things you can do for your spiritual peace, is finding how to manage your emotions and not be reactive to the circumstance. Also seeing the silver lining, because a lot of the times when you look back, I can say that where I am today, if it wasn't for these events and unfortunate events, I wouldn't be emotionally where I am today in terms of the emotional strength and the sovereignty and the authenticity that I live my life out today, right? So definitely regulating your emotions is number one thing to finding spiritual peace, and in any season you're going to go through in life. The number two thing is what I mentioned, time alone. I cannot tell you how important time alone is necessary. Now, for those of you who have, a house full of people and it's hard to find those time alone, that's something you're going to have to get creative with, whether it's in your car, whether it's a walk, and most importantly, it might just be that, a walk, whether it's going out to a dinner by yourself, a lunch by yourself, something in the morning by yourself. But you're going to need to take away some time to think and some time to kind of give yourself to be able to manage. I always say solitude is the greatest gift you can give to yourself. It really is. And I am very thankful for that time, although hard. When I was going through all those events, I was by myself, and yes, was difficult. But I will tell you what I did do every morning, because I listened to a lot of motivational stuff and just kept my mind right. I was always grateful when I woke up. I always said thank you. And despite of it being something I did by myself, I was so thankful even for that, because I was able to really pour out my emotions and my thoughts in a space that was sacred and safe for me. And that's what time alone does. It's going to be a sacred and safe space for you. So time alone is really, really crucial for you to dive into whatever is it that you're feeling in that very moment, or whatever is happening. The other thing you'll notice is when you spend this time alone, your thoughts may race, and notice that your thoughts may be positive or negative, or 1 minute they're positive, 1 minute they're negative. They're like fluctuating, right? We're going back to emotional regulation. This is how you can conquer that emotional regulation. So watch your thought patterns again, right? So you're going to find a lot of positive and negative emotions in this space, which means a lot of it is also going to tell you who you really are. And this is where you really get to dive into a side of you that is more authentic to you. So if it's a negative emotion, ask yourself why. This is where you dive deep in your why, and why you feel this, and why you feel this. Next question, why does it make you feel this way? What caused it? And it's going to require out of you to really be honest with yourself. Accountability. I live on accountability. There was no one to blame in those moments I was by myself. And mind you, it wasn't just a moment. I was living alone for at this point I was single for 8 years. But I've been single for 8 years, but I can't remember, or two. So at this point, I was single for 5 years, but I was living alone way longer than that. But this time was really in pure solitude with no one checking in on me. And that was the biggest blessing I had.